Hi, everyone. Happy weekend.
Um, okay, now let's break down what intimidation and impact is revealing to you. There's someone in your reality experiencing profound unease about you, and that discomfort stems from recognizing they can't control or predict or manage you the way they assumed they could. Not mild nervousness, not simple caution, genuine fear, the kind that disrupts sleep, that creates obsessive thinking, that makes them check your movements. That has them wondering what you're planning or what you know or what you're capable of. You've become unpredictable variable in equation they thought they had solved. Threat to stability they believed was secure. Force they didn't account for that's now impossible to ignore. And the source of their terror, it might be your growth, your boundaries, your refusal to play roles they assigned, your unexpected competence, your unwillingness to stay small, your capacity to see through their performances, your power that they underestimated. Something about who you are, who you're becoming, creates anxiety in someone who needs you to be different than you actually are. In the specific dynamic where your mere existence threatens someone else's comfort, you're not necessarily doing anything aggressive or hostile. You're just being yourself. But yourself is apparently incompatible with their plans or their self image or their control structures. Your authenticity, your strength, your clarity, these qualities that serve you well are creating panic in someone who needs you manageable, controllable, predictable, small. Let me illuminate what patterns might be creating this fear response in someone around you. In the psychology of people who fear those they can't control, several dynamics create intense anxiety. Some people are frightened specifically by competence that exceeds their own. They assumed superiority, believed themselves more capable, more intelligent, more strategic. Then you demonstrated abilities that challenged that assumption. Now they're terrified you'll surpass them, embarrass them, expose them as less impressive than they present themselves. Your recent development might be triggering exactly this type of competitive terror. You've been building skills, generating results, creating impact, and someone who dismissed you or underestimated you is recognizing they miscalculated, that you're not the easy target they assumed, not the manageable threat they believed you were. That realization creates fear because it means they're in competition they didn't prepare for with an opponent who's more formidable than anticipated. Notice who in your sphere has shifted from condescending to anxious in their energy toward you, who used to dismiss your ideas but now watches you closely, who acted superior but now seems threatened, who was comfortable in their position until your growth made that position less secure. These behavioral changes signal they've registered you as genuine threat rather than negligible concern. Some fear stems from knowledge you possess. You've seen something, learned something, discovered something, understood something. That information in your awareness creates vulnerability for someone else. They're terrified you'll speak, you'll expose, you'll reveal, you'll use what you know in ways that damage their reputation or position or relationships or self-image. You might be carrying exactly this kind of dangerous knowledge without even fully recognizing its power. Something you witnessed, something you were told, something you figured out. Information that, if shared, would create serious problems for someone. They know you know. They don't know if you'll tell. That uncertainty keeps them awake, makes them paranoid, forces them to wonder constantly what you're thinking and planning. Still, others fear your boundaries and your refusal to participate in their dysfunction. They need you compliant. They need you accommodating. They need you accepting of treatment that serves them but harms you. Your increasing unwillingness to play along threatens dynamics they depend on. Your no terrifies them because their system requires your yes. Your boundaries dismantle their control. This reflection invites you to consider who in your awareness seems unusually invested in your cooperation or compliance. Let me clarify what scared shitless specifically indicates about intensity. Shitless suggests extreme fear, not casual concern, not moderate worry, terror that affects basic functioning, that creates physical symptoms, that dominates their mental space. That makes them act erratically or defensively or aggressively out of panic. They're not just uncomfortable, they're genuinely frightened about what you represent or what you might do or what your existence means for them. In the manifestation of fear-based behavior, people experiencing this level of anxiety often reveal it through specific patterns: excessive monitoring of your activities, attempting to control your access to resources or information or people, spreading narratives about you to others, trying to preemptively damage your credibility, creating distance while still watching closely, all defensive maneuvers driven by terror about what you could do to them. Your situation might include someone exhibiting exactly these fear-driven behaviors: checking your social media obsessively, asking others about you, trying to turn people against you, attempting to limit your opportunities, making preemptive strikes, all of it stemming not from strength but from weakness, not from confidence but from terror. They're not attacking because they feel powerful, they're attacking because they feel threatened. Some people experiencing this fear become hostile. Aggression is their defense mechanism. They strike first, hoping to neutralize threat before threat materializes. They spread rumors. They sabotage. They undermine. All reactive attempts to diminish the person frightening them, to reduce threat by reducing threat's power or credibility or positioning. You might be experiencing exactly this kind of fear-driven hostility. Someone being unusually aggressive toward you without clear provocation. Their attacks might seem disproportionate to anything you actually did. That's because they're not responding to your actions. They're responding to their fear about your potential, about what you could do, about what your existence in their sphere represents. Others become manipulative when frightened. They try to manage the threat through control rather than confrontation. They attempt to keep you close to monitor you. They offer false friendship to gain intelligence. They create obligations to limit your freedom. They manufacture dependencies to ensure you need them. All strategies to neutralize danger by binding the dangerous person to them. This reflection invites you to consider: has anyone been unusually interested in staying connected to you while also seeming anxious about you? Let me address what "this is the last time I'm doing this reading" indicates about finality. Last time suggests definitive ending. This specific energetic configuration won't repeat. This particular dynamic reaches resolution point, whether because the fear itself forces conclusion or because your trajectory moves you beyond sphere where this person's fear matters, or because situation resolves through confrontation or distance or transformation. The reading speaks to final chapter of this particular intimidation dynamic. In the approaching resolution of fear-based dynamics, several outcomes become possible. Sometimes the frightened person's fear drives them to exit your sphere entirely. They remove themselves. They create distance. They stop engaging. Because proximity to source of fear becomes unbearable, they'd rather lose access to whatever kept them near you than continue experiencing anxiety your presence creates. Your situation might resolve through exactly this kind of voluntary departure. person who fears you simply leaving, quitting shared environment, ending relationship, creating geographic or social or professional distance, their fear solving problem by removing them from equation. You don't have to force them out. Their own discomfort drives them away. That's one form of resolution. Other times, fear forces confrontation that clears air. The frightened person finally speaks their concern. The tension erupts into open conflict. Truth gets aired. Positions become clear. And that confrontation, uncomfortable as it might be, creates clarity that ambiguous fear state didn't allow. Both parties understand where they stand. Both can make informed decisions about whether relationship continues and under what terms. Still other times the frightened person actually conquers their fear through evidence you're not the threat they imagined, through interactions that demonstrate you have no hostile intent, through time proving you're not interested in harming them. Their fear dissolves not because you changed, but because their perception corrected. This resolution requires their willingness to examine their fear rather than acting from it. This reflection invites you to consider, which resolution would you prefer for someone who fears you? Let me speak to what you should understand about inspiring fear versus being responsible for others' fear. You might be wondering if inspiring fear makes you a bad person, if causing someone anxiety means you're doing something wrong, if being intimidating is character flaw you should correct. Important distinction. There's difference between deliberately terrorizing people and naturally unsettling those who need you small or controllable or predictable. In the ethics of inspiring fear through strength versus creating fear through cruelty, the first is often necessary consequence of growth and boundary setting. The second is behavior that should be examined and corrected. If you're frightening people by being competent, by having boundaries, by refusing dysfunction, by growing beyond the box they needed you in, that's their issue, not yours. Their discomfort with your health doesn't make you unhealthy. It's essential you don't shrink to accommodate someone else's need for you to be small. Don't dull your competence to make mediocre people comfortable. Don't lower your standards to avoid intimidating those who maintain lower standards. Don't accept poor treatment to prevent someone's fear of your boundaries. Their fear in these contexts is signal they need to grow, not signal you need to shrink. Some people reading this might be dealing with someone whose fear is justified. You have been aggressive or hostile or threatening. You have abused power. You have wielded your strength cruelly. If that's you, then yes. Someone's fear of you is a problem you created and should address. Examine your behavior, make amends, change patterns, use power responsibly rather than destructively. But most people receiving this reading aren't in that category. They're people who've gotten stronger or clearer or more boundaried, who've stopped accepting unacceptable treatment, who've started claiming space and voice and power, and someone who benefited from their previous weakness is now afraid of their emerging strength. That fear isn't your responsibility to manage by weakening yourself again. This reflection invites you to consider, is the fear you're inspiring in someone result of your growth or result of your cruelty? Let me reveal what comes after someone's fear of you reaches peak. Some relationships don't survive one person outgrowing the box the other needed them in. The fear signals incompatibility, indicates dynamic that worked when you were smaller can't work now that you're larger. That relationship was built on inequality that your growth disrupts. When that's the case, ending is often healthiest outcome for both parties. In the possibility of necessary relationship endings, you might be approaching exactly that conclusion with whoever fears you. The connection served purpose at one time, but your evolution has made it unsustainable. Trying to maintain it requires you to limit yourself in ways you're no longer willing to accept. Letting it end allows both people to find better matched connections, allows you to be full self, allows them to find someone they don't feel threatened by. Some endings are painful but right. You care about person, you have history with them. But caring doesn't mean staying where you're required to be less than you are. Sometimes love means letting go, means honoring that you've outgrown the relationship, means accepting that what worked before doesn't work anymore. Their fear is signal it's time to release, not time to shrink. Other times the fear becomes catalyst for both people's growth. Their fear forces them to examine their need for control. Your strength forces them to develop their own. The dynamic transforms from unequal to equal, from one person having power and other person accepting powerlessness to both people being empowered. This is rare but possible. Requires person who fears you being willing to do deep work rather than just managing their anxiety through controlling you. This reflection invites you to consider, do you want to maintain relationship with someone who's frightened by your strength? Let me close by speaking to what this moment actually offers you. Discovering someone fears you provides information about them, about yourself, about the dynamic, about what's possible and what isn't. That information empowers choice. You can adjust if their fear indicates you're being cruel. You can maintain course if their fear indicates they need you controllable. You can end relationship if their fear makes it toxic. You can work together if their fear is something both want to address. May you honor your growth. May you maintain your boundaries. May you use your power wisely. Someone experiences terror because of your strength. That's information, not necessarily problem. Someone is scared shitless because of you. A person in your sphere experiences intense fear related to your presence or power or knowledge or boundaries. This is the last time I'm doing this reading. This specific dynamic approaches resolution. Fear reaches point where it forces conclusion through departure or confrontation or transformation. The energetic configuration reading addresses won't repeat in same form, and your work is discernment about whether their fear reveals your cruelty or their control issues, examining your behavior honestly, maintaining your growth and boundaries if their fear stems from needing you small, making amends if their fear stems from you wielding power destructively, allowing relationship to end if fear indicates fundamental incompatibility, working together toward equity if both desire that and both capable of it. Trust this. Trust that inspiring fear through strength is different than creating fear through abuse. Trust that you're allowed to be powerful even when your power unsettles others. Trust that someone's discomfort with your boundaries doesn't obligate you to remove those boundaries. Trust that you can be both strong and kind. Trust that the right people aren't frightened by your full self. Stay strong. Stay boundaried. Stay examining yourself. Their fear exists. Your power is real. Use it wisely.